And right now we're entering probably the biggest, fastest, and most revolutionary times that we've ever seen, which is the AI and robotics revolution, which really changes everything.
I know there's people that invented the software with AI for that, and now all the banks are using that.
Yeah, now already you could create a one-person company with 100 agents and different management layers through your agents and create a billion-dollar business with one person and just a bunch of agents. As a matter of fact, OpenClaw itself is kind of the first example of a company that reached it because it literally last week or so sold to OpenAI.
Get ready for the next iteration of you on your path to becoming wealthy. On this show, you'll get the insider's view on wealth creation, the class none of us got taught in school, with my co-host, daughter, and beginning investor, Sophia Bosch. And now, let's get started.
Welcome to the Becoming Wealthy podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Bosch, and I'm here with my lovely dad.
Hey there, Sophia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Okay, today I want to talk a little bit about the Abundance Summit, the very futuristic, focused conference you just went to, you just came back from. So I would love to know how it was. Just for a little bit of background, the Abundance Summit focuses on the future of AI, robotics, cryptocurrency, and longevity.
That's exactly right. So yes, so this is I belong to a mastermind called A360, Abundance 360 by Peter Diamandis. And Peter Diamandis is the founder of the X Prize. And he's probably one of the most well-connected people in the AI, robotics, futurism, longevity space, Silicon Valley, whatever, and you name it, Harvard, you name it. He's an MIT graduate and a Harvard medical doctor.
Oh, well.
So that just tells you something. And and also has a great podcast, if you want to watch that, called Moonshots, and which I usually only understand half of what they talk about because it's so futuristic and crazy. But anyway, so I've been part of that for now 5 years, part of this mastermind, and the big event of the year, the big highlight of the year is a 5-day conference from Sunday to Thursday, and that happens in LA. Where they bring, this time they interviewed Elon Musk. He was there via video conference. They have Eric Schmidt, who is the former CEO and chairman of Google. They had the CEO of Uber. They had the guy from Circle, the CEO and founder of Circle, like USDC, like the stablecoin. It's like the who's who of all these cutting edge technologies is there, and in the audience there's billionaires, there's all members of this group. So it's an amazing networking event, but it's really, I'm there in order to really learn, to stay somewhat on the, well, not on the cutting edge, but to know about the cutting edge of what this world is doing, because we're literally living right now through the third revolution, industrial, not like there was like a revolution for everyone went the first one was like when we invented farming, right? Like 10,000 years ago, whenever it was. Agriculture. Then there was the Industrial Revolution, which was basically when machines started making everything efficient and people went into the cities. Then there was the Computer Revolution right now in the 80s, 90s, basically with the internet. But first the PC world revolution, and then the internet revolution afterwards. And right now we're entering probably the biggest, fastest, and most revolutionary times that we've ever seen, which is the AI and robotics revolution, which really changes everything. So it was fantastic. And so, for example, on the AI world, there were demonstrations and workshops and demonstrations of
I think the word is
no, they did demos. They demonstrated the capabilities, not anti something demonstration, not people coming up with science. No, but like from stage, showcases, and they demoed a whole bunch of capabilities of what AI can do today. And one of them we can talk about is, which is currently going viral. Everyone talks about it, but I don't think everyone knows what it actually does. Which is we're in the time no longer of ChatGPT and you giving ChatGPT simple prompts and asking it for cooking recipes and asking it for to help you with homework, right? Is that perhaps a possibility over here?
It's not my fault that my teachers don't explain it well.
Okay, right. But it is actually, we're now in the time where AI is self-learning. In other words, with systems like OpenClaw, you can install OpenClaw into a small little $500 Apple Mini, and give it access perhaps to an email address, and give it access to whatever you want to give it access carefully, because it's still sometimes a little stupid and it makes stupid mistakes and might give your proprietary stuff away by mistake. So don't give it access to a lot of proprietary stuff. But you basically give it instructions, say like the guy from Stage talked about one example which comes to mind is like, all of a sudden the phone rings. So he picks up the phone, it's an unknown number. And there's a voice on the other end that says, well, who is this? Well, this is Henry, your AI assistant. So the human says, excuse me? What do you mean, Henry, my AI assistant? Yes, you gave me instructions yesterday. I'm an OpenClaw. I'm your OpenClaw assistant. And he's like, well, how did you get a phone number to call me? It was like, well, yesterday you gave me instructions to get in contact with you. So I figured out how to get myself registered for a free phone number. And I set up all the different systems I needed in the background so I can actually call you and have a voice and talk to you. So this is no longer prompting. This is no longer, hey, please go log into this and do these 17 steps. This is giving them a general instruction of like, hey, get in contact with me. And then the system interpreting it such and self-learning and problem solving creatively and learning from one thing to the other and solving the problem as a result, placing a phone call to the owner of him, if you want to call him owner. That's insanity. That's crazy, right? And that's probably going to be, by the time this podcast comes out, already old news. That's probably already outdated, or within another 6 months from now, it's yet on completely different levels. So the number one takeaway from this, from on the AI side, from the Abundance Summit, is that we're past the agent prompting kind. Like a few months ago, OpenAI had added the ability for you to have an agent that you can ask certain things. In our coaching company, our coaches use it, we use it. So you can go in and you can say like, hey, please go and upload a spreadsheet of properties you want to go after, and say like, hey, please go to this website, check the value of the property, pull up a video of it, see how it compares. And if it looks XYZ, and you have then classify it as a go versus as a no-go. And those things we already have been doing for like half a year in our company, and our students are being taught that how to do this. But that is, you have to give the AI every single detailed steps of what it needs to do, because it does not self-learn. It just follows instructions. Well, this is a completely different level now.
Yeah. Whew.
What do you think about that?
That's scary that it can just call you as if it's its own entity.
Yeah, I mean, this when they're talking about it, just literally like before we started recording, I just saw a reel that apparently Meta is letting go 20% of their staff right now, which is basically Facebook and whatever else they do, which makes sense because in the development world, one of the speakers at the Abundance 360 talked about that the head of Anthropic, which is obviously one of these top 4 or 5 big large language models, hasn't written a single line of code himself for the last 3 months because he uses his own code writing. He uses Anthropic in order to write code, to write more code. So basically, what that means is essentially the code writing abilities of these systems are now such that the brilliant human code writers basically just double check the code that the system writes, making sure it's proper, and then asking you to write more code.
Until you have full faith, and then they are out of a job.
Which is probably 3 months from now. I mean, it goes on. There's I was in a workshop. The official conference starts Monday, but on Sunday they had different workshops about AI. And one of the workshops was with Replit, and Replit is a tool that actually writes software for you.
Oh, that's nice.
And you just simply tell it what to do. Now, I've never written a piece of software in my life. I don't know how to write a line of code.
Me neither.
But so I went in there. It's like I asked it to create a management dashboard for me. I said, like, log into this software, log into that software, pull this from here, pull this from there, pull this, and create a dashboard. And in 5 minutes, it created the dashboard for me.
Yeah, I have friends that are doing that right now for whatever they want. They're creating websites, they're creating whatever.
Yeah, and the gentleman sitting next to me, the father of actually one of your classmates, We happened to realize that we're in the same mastermind. He actually is very health oriented. So he was wearing one kind of health monitoring thing on his wrist, another one on probably a Whoop. I don't know all the other ones. Another one on the second arm, probably an aura ring on his finger, and other kind of things. He just like, it's just like some people are really into the health part. And he asked it to also create kind of a monitoring device that synchronizes all of them together, because that's his biggest thing. He has those different things, but they don't connect to each other. In 5 minutes, he created it, and he could literally
he could link everything.
He could link everything. The software created a software for him that linked everything, and it even connected directly from his laptop via Bluetooth to his devices. Ooh. And literally within 5 minutes, he saw his own heartbeat on a computer screen without writing a line of code.
Interesting.
So the question is, what does this all mean? The question is,
you can easily market that.
You can market that. That means that what it really means is that we are now living in a time, you can look at that as like, oh my God, my job is going to go away. And yes, many jobs are going to go away.
Or you can go like create something.
Exactly. You can go so like, oh my God, if I don't have to actually write software.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Let's your fantasy spread. Let's just like let it bloom. Let's just like, what would this world need out there? What is a gap in the market? What do a billion people need that they currently don't have? And you create that, or what does big corporate America struggle with? Right?
I've heard so many people creating like the underlying, because corporate America. I'm thinking like big banks.
Yeah.
The big banks need security ways of checking like fraudulent stuff like that. That's I know there's people that invented the software with AI for that, and now all the banks are using that.
Yeah, or a lot of the big old companies, they work on 50-year-old software in the background. And changing that to newer software is a process that would cost billions of dollars and decades. But, so if you go to Bank of America, I mean, the reason you can't do certain things that you can perhaps do with a brand new bank is that they're using archaic software in the background that is patched together by some 80-year-olds, because those are the only ones that still understand the software. Like they're not allowed to retire, like mainframe kind of stuff, like from the 1970s, 80s, 90s. And so now there's a company actually that there was also a part of the conference, there was a presentation of one from a VC venture capital fund that we're possibly going to invest in, that they're part owners of a company that actually uses AI to take these archaic systems and rewrite them in today's technology. And what would take them in the past 10, 15 years and literally $3 billion of investments, they now can do for $100 million. So this company gets a $100 million contract, which obviously is great because they're 25 20-year-olds that are doing this. And with a bunch of software. So they're running huge amounts of revenue, but saving the bank billions of dollars in the process, and keeping them competitive and actually being able to get into this new area right now.
Okay, I want to touch a little bit also on the cryptocurrency. How do you think, is it just going to keep expanding? Do you think there's going to be a world, according to all those people, where it's just crypto or like a digital currency and not?
Great question. So obviously, I don't know. Nobody has the answer right now, but they were interviewing up from stage. Peter was interviewing the CEO and I think co-founder of Circle, which is the second largest stablecoin company out there. And there's USDT, which is Tether, which is based on I think El Salvador and not yet compliant with U.S. rules. And there's USDC.
Stablecoin is backed by the U.S. dollar, right?
It's pegged to the U.S. dollar. So one stablecoin is $1.
Yeah.
But based on the new Genius Act from last year, now anyone that issues a stablecoin in the United States has to, for every dollar that they issue, that somebody buys from that. So there's a stablecoin company, they issue $1 million in stablecoins. People go out there and buy $1 million of that stablecoin. So they give this company $1 million. They have to use that $1 million to buy $1 million worth of U.S. treasuries with that. So it's actually a great, very smart way by the government to spread the U.S. government debt all over the world. Because China, that used to own a lot of it, currently doesn't really want to own a lot of U.S. government debt, right? Because obviously you have the trade wars and things, and China are not necessarily friends right now with the U.S.
However, if you own a lot of government debt, you can all of a sudden sell it.
You can sell it, but the nice part is, think about it. Your Circle right now, you issue $1 billion. You issue $1 billion worth of stable coins, and people from all around the world buy it. You now have $1 billion. You go buy $1 billion worth of treasuries, and that $1 billion now pays you $50 million a year in interest.
Oh.
So Circle now earns $50 million, but has basically almost no expenses. So it's a highly profitable thing for Circle, but there's something more to it. The stablecoin thing is actually something that I think will over time dominate, or has a good chance of becoming one of the main currencies in a way out there, along with other ones like Solana. The CEO of Solana was also there. And Solana is obviously a cryptocurrency out there. But what makes Solana really, really good is that transactions in Solana are cheap, fast, and obviously safe. So versus with Bitcoin, they're not so cheap, not so fast. It sometimes takes 30 minutes to an hour to actually do a transfer, which is still fast compared to like a wire transfer. But Bitcoin is taking on more the role of digital gold that's people are just going to sit on and use for larger transactions. So you buy a house and then you just pay Bitcoin, and because yes, the money arrives 30 minutes later, and that's okay. Solana can be used for very small, quick transactions, because it takes the transactions happen in seconds or minutes. And stable coins also happen very, very fast. So all of these are
can anyone just create a stable coin?
Now, because things since the Genius Act, yes. But you have to get regulatory approval, which costs probably several $1 million.
Okay.
So it's not like you and I can probably set one up tomorrow. But if we would want to and pool the funds for it and raise the money for it, then yes, we could create one. Question is how to make it popular. So it's probably more likely that Apple comes up value, and then you use it on the Apple Store to pay for it and things like that, or that Facebook creates one, and then or online like Minecraft or whatever games are out there, that becomes the currency of that.
And now taking one step even below that, how will like creating tokens or whatever, creating more things that aren't pegged to a US dollar, will people be doing that? Also?
I'm sure they will. Eventually, they will probably roll up to that. But there's one piece that blew me away. And that is that the CEO of Circle talked about that they have developed the technology and they're rolling it out right now to allow micro wallets, basically, crypto wallets that can be owned by AI agents, and where the AI agents can pay for stuff that they need for their owners, in a way, for their thing, up to like 1/1,000,000th of a stable coin or something like that. So they can basically do transactions that cost like 10,000ths of a penny. They can pay for that through their crypto wallet. So in other words, there's an estimate that in the next 3 years, there's going to be 10 billion,
a whole different economy in
10
that
billion
little
agents
thingy
out there, and that your customers are actually no longer going to be other humans, but your customers are going to be the agents that operate for the humans. And these agents then have wallets that can actually pay for stuff. Mind blown? My mind was blown when I heard that.
So they're basically creating a whole different economy, just digital.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk talked about that. He thinks it's a very reasonable estimate on his side that in 10 years, our economy could be 10 times the size it is today. And that is mostly driven by all the AI agents starting to do things. So they might even do advertising to each other, and they pay each other, and they do services for other on your behalf. Just you tell your agents, like, I'm looking for this, and it just goes out and it looks at offers and looks at things and finds on it, and soon enough it knows you better than you know yourself, and it's just going to buy it for you, and perhaps even consume it for you and use it for you, and you just basically have your little army of agents that do stuff for you, which is a completely different challenge to like how do you manage life and things like that. But that's where we're going. Michelle is also here, and I think you should be actually part of it. She hears passive income. Yes, there's passive income opportunities if you use your agents in a way that you can sell something that other agents want to use. Now you have
also the amount of agents that you have. Will that also
will affect what they do? If you use it just for consumption and you end up spending all the stuff, if you use it to actually produce something, I mean,
they can go out.
One of the guys presenting on OpenClaw He has 8 agents working for him. And he has Henry, that's the guy that has received the phone call from Henry. Henry is his main manager. And then he has 7 other agents that report to Henry.
Oh.
And they have jobs like they create software that they have them do some of these agents do market research. They figure out what does the market want, what's hot on YouTube, what do people search for, what do with it. Then another one creates videos and reels and things like that, or chops them up, or looks at his own social media thing and looks at like how can we
how do I make an agent?
And then the next one does create software that perhaps that market segment that is searching for that could use. So, and then the next one is probably customer service for the software. So in other words, soon enough you can create, well, actually now already you could create a 1-person company with 100 agents and different management layers through your agents, and create $1 billion business with one person and just a bunch of agents. As a matter of fact, OpenClaw itself is kind of the first example of a company that reached it, because it literally last week or so sold to OpenAI, the owners of ChatGPT, for I don't know how many billions of dollars. I haven't looked it up, but essentially the OpenClaw guys, like one guy with a bunch of agents, and perhaps it's now a few other people, but it's the first example of one of these micro companies that just simply consists of very, very few humans and a whole bunch of AI agents, and they produce something that is so desirable that the valuation goes into the billions of dollars. Without having to code yourself, so you could create something like that, and everyone listening here or watching this could do.
I know where I'm putting my energy now.
Very good.
Into.
Very good. Yeah. Then the other days of the conference was about robotics. Robotics, I think, is coming along well. There's still, I was a little not disappointed, but I found the progress from last year, the year before to this year in the robot side. I think there's a lot of work in the background being done, but it's not yet like they're not just all of a sudden all popping up next year or this year.
They have to
that's going to take a little bit longer. The biggest problems is like them really figuring out
mass implementation.
The actual physics of like a hand. The hand seems to be one of the hardest things that you to create in a robot. Because like it's like you want them to be able to hold an egg, right, and not crush it, and for that you need like sensitivity, dexterity, and there's like lots of wheels spinning inside because it's all physics, and so you don't want just if the thing stops, the wheels need to stop, but if it doesn't, then the egg is crushed, and one moment it's an egg, the next one is a bone, so you better be careful. So that's a lot of science in the background, and that just takes time to develop. But once that is figured out, which they're that close apparently, then it's like mass production. So we're probably 2 years from now, we see a huge breakthrough on that. The next part they talked about is longevity, which there's some crazy things that are happening out there. One guy, David Sinclair, Harvard professor, is in human trials now to literally reverse aging on a cellular level. So you can take my 55-year-old cells and convert them into 25-year-old cells. So entire my body, my wrinkles would go away.
So
everything would go away. Not going to have wrinkles, right?
Live forever.
You could what they haven't figured out is as a cell.
Would you want to do that? Is that ethical?
As a cell splits, there's currently in a lot of species there's a limited amount the cell can split.
Right. Oh, really?
So at some point of time, if you rejuvenate them, but you get to the end of the cell splitting, you might die anyway. So they're trying to figure that one out right now. But if they can't figure that one out, you can still probably live 150 or 200 years. Yep. And they're talking about what they call escape velocity, basically where the technology is advancing so fast that as you age, you can rejuvenate faster than you age. So then you could actually live forever. Ooh. Would I want to live forever? I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if we're all the three of us all together like this, cool, then why not? That sounds great. I would love that, right? But that's something to discuss, I think, down the road. But at least there's ways. The way they're testing it is by injecting. In the next few weeks, they're starting this. In the next few weeks, they're injecting that stuff into the eyes of blind people.
Oh.
And if they can rejuvenate those, particularly blind people that weren't blind from birth, but they got blind because of deterioration of the cells. Yeah. And so therefore, if they rejuvenate those cells and make them healthy and young again, then they should be able to see again. And so they're literally working on making the blind see. Theoretically, right now. Crazy stuff. It's a crazy conference. I would every year I come away with like.
What was the best conversation you had with someone?
That's a good question. One gentleman, Pete is his name. I'm going to interview on my podcast. I already agreed to that. He talked about that. He thinks that computers are going to eventually become so smart that they figure out the math behind everything, like behind quantum physics and everything behind it, and they're going to realize
we're in a simulation.
That we're in a simulation. You said it right. That we're in a simulation.
So that's the most interesting.
That was the most interesting conversation, because that was conversation with including some of the staff members, like not the staff members, the speakers on one table, and this guy and everything, and it went into psychedelics, and it went into mushrooms, and it went into all kinds of
testing
stuff.
the bounds of your consciousness.
And it was just like it was one crazy heck of a conversation.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an update of that, and I think I could.
Can I go next year?
Yes, we actually wanted you to come this year, but they have a teenager program.
They do.
But we registered you too late, and they were double sold out already.
19 count?
So I already have. Yes, I think you can still attend. Already registered you for next year with the administrator there, and so
really?
we're in the front of the list for that.
Thank God. I'm excited. Hopefully I can go next year, because that sounded amazing.
It was.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with a loved one in your life, or someone that's very, very interested in everything futuristic, AI, robotics, cryptocurrency, and longevity. This was such an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Papa, for coming on the podcast.
I'm always excited to be here.
Perfect. And on to the next.